we have CML, we also have a new tool called MLEM, right? Yeah, so it's for model deployment, you get. So we have a new tool called MLEM. It's a nice tool also. Yeah, and deep checks, deep checks too. Like deep checks is a nice tool. And also DAGZOP, yeah. So personally, I don't work for DAGZOP, but I love what they are doing. DAGZOP is like the GitHub for machine learning engineers.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica's interview series. I'm your host, Sinha, and we're really glad to have all of you join us today. And today we have Gift Ojeabulu, machine learning thought leader. Well, welcome to the show, Gift.
Yeah, thanks for welcoming me. And what's the name? I'd like to know your name.
My name is Sinha.
Yeah, Sinha. Yeah, so I'm a machine learning thought leader. Yeah, and the head of data community for Data First Africa and the co-organizer. Yeah, and I'm also among the organizers for MLOps Africa, which we are trying to plan. And I'm the founder and facilitator of the African Data Community newsletter, a data scientist at CBB Analytics, and a social media content creator. Yeah, mainly I do more of Twitter and where I tweet about Python, open source, data science, machine learning, and MLOps, right here. So, and I'm currently looking on expanding my horizon to TikTok here. So you see me doing a lot of TikTok soon and a podcast with Cornelius. Yeah, shout out to Cornelius anywhere he's here. So that's me in summary.
That's amazing. All right. So the Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights from industry experts and influencers from around the world, a platform that provides you latest news on AI, automation, and technologies that will help you grow your business. Come be part of a community, learn, share, and grow with us. So, Gift, shall we get started with this interview? I have a few questions that I'd really like to shoot at you.
All right, that's cool. I'm in for that.
All right. So, my first question is, what efforts are being put into eradicating the bias in AI models? And what do you think, how long would it take to have fair AI models?
Yeah, so that's nice. Before I proceed to that question, the effort for AI model, I'd like to explain what is AI model. You get. So first of all, AI model is a program that has been trained on a set of data. Yeah, so to recognize certain types of pattern, AI models use various types of algorithm to reason over, learn from the data you get for business purposes. That's the purpose of an AI model. So, and before I move to that, I'll be going again to how can we eliminate this bias before I'll go to the effort we put in. So the power of machine learning comes from its ability to learn from data and apply that learning experience to a new data you get. So bias AI systems that are put into implementation can cause problems, especially when used to automate decision making. So how to identify this now is through creating model explainability and interpretability. It's a different thing. Model explainability and interpretability. Yeah. So the difference between this now is explainability is the extent to which the internal mechanics of a machine or deep learning system can be explained in human terms, right? And the other one now, the question, going back to the question now is, how can we, the efforts to eradicating machine learning models? So the first one I'll list now is to identify the potential bias you get. So we need to know the potential bias for us to be able to eradicate this model, first of all. So we need to ask some certain questions. Questions like what? Are you checking the data quality? How quality is this data? You get. So if you are checking for how repetitive is this, is this data and things related. So number two that I'll go for that is to set guidelines and rules of eliminating bias and procedures you get. So you just set rules note them down that you can eliminate bias, because there are different types of different types of bias that can go up in an ML model you get. We have sampling bias and so on you get. So the next one is identify accurate representative data you get. So how accurate is your data? There's always this stuff about data centric and model centric. So how accurate is your data is what you are giving to the model, that the model can fit in enough to predict what is good. If you are giving like incorrect data to the model, no matter how you tune your model and do a lot of things, the model won't like predict what is accurate, you get. So you identify that, like how accurate and representative is your data. The next one is document and share how data is selected and cleansed, you get. So yeah, so you document and share how your data is selected and cleansed. Like how did you get your data? Is it through maybe like web scraping and all of that means like that? How did you get your data? You get. So, and you should select it. The last one now is evaluate model for performance and select least bias in addition to performance, you get. So always check for your model performance. There are tools for their MLOps tools you can use to do this. There are tools like deep checks you get for model validation, you get. So you need to evaluate your model performance. Yes, so that's the first question on that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, if the data that we're entering into our AI model, if that's not diverse enough, I believe we can definitely see a lot of biases. And I totally agree with that point. You were talking about how we can eradicate that using MLOps. So can you throw some more light on what MLOps is and what is its significance? How important is it?
Yeah, okay. So I see MLOps, what it means normally is machine learning operation. So it's like the integration of machine learning with some set of practice in DevOps. Yeah, so let me now explain what MLOps is. So if you are coming into MLOps, you are expected to have like basic understanding of these DevOps, like CI/CD, you get. So if you are coming into MLOps, but let me explain what MLOps. So it's a set of practice for collaboration and communication between data scientists and operation professionals, you get. So applying this practice increases the quality, simplifies the management process, and automate the deployment of machine learning and deep learning models in a large-scale production environment. Yeah, so it is easier to align this model with business needs as well as regulatory requirements. So MLOps is slowly evolving into independent approach to machine learning lifecycle. It applies to the entire lifecycle, to data gathering, model creation, continuous lifecycle, like I said, CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery, orchestration, deployment, and so on, and business metric. So the key phases now, there are different phases in MLOps. There's what we call the Krebs DM and the Azub DM. So the MLOps adopted these parts from the Azum DM. Yeah. So that's is a process by IBM. I think it was developed in 2015. You get. So the Krebs DM is the usual way of doing the data science process, like from like feature engineering and just straight to a model deployment. But the MLOps now adopt from the Azure DM. How? See, the MLOps process now, the key phases are from your data gathering to data analysis to data transformation or preparation, model training and development, validation, model serving, monitoring, and model retraining, you get. So that's basics of MLOps. So in terms of the importance of MLOps now is, MLOps is fundamental, you get. Everybody knows that, like it's the fundamental process for machine learning because is the sure way, like it shows the best way of how your model can be deployed. You get the right way of how your model can be deployed in production. Yeah, so that's on the side. So machine learning helps individuals and business deploy solutions that unlocked previously untapped sources, right? So these goals are hard to accomplish without a solid framework to follow. So automating model development and deployment with MLOps means faster go-to-market times and lower operational costs. You get. So it's help managers and developers be more agile and strategic in their work, in their decision. So MLOps served as a roadmap to guide individuals, small teams, and even bigger teams, you get. So, and businesses to achieve their goals and their constraints, to be insensitive, few resources and small budgets, you get. So that's the importance of MLOps in summary. So if you want to check like other importance, you see something like it helps to solve issues with deployment, you get, help to solve issues with monitoring, lifecycle management, and modern governance.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that's quite an important thing for any business to have a monitoring system and how a proper CI/CD line to have a deployment process and to actually monitor things. And I think MLOps there really holds some importance. Uh, Gift, the next question that I have for you is something that I really want to know is AI accessible to everyone? And do you think should it or should it not be accessible to everyone?
Okay, the truth is, right now, depending on the perspective you are seeing it from, like the usage of AI, like the applications in terms of things like maybe computer vision, the endpoint is accessible to everyone. How do I mean? You can maybe let me use NLP for example. You see language being transformed. You get so to like different like language being transformed from English to different languages, like maybe Israel, maybe Indian and stuff like that. Yeah, with natural language processing, you see different language being transformed. The endpoint actually, maybe for instance, you can see in the religious organization where people read their Bible in different languages now. For instance, you get people read it in Yoruba, people read it in like in other languages, in Igbo and the rest like that. These are Nigerian languages, right? So at the end point, AI is accessible. Accessible now in this point, I'm seeing it as available, right? AI is accessible to everyone at the end point. But the truth is, from the scratch, bigger organizations are the one actually using AI. How do I mean now? Is limited to like it's limited to main large corporation with extremely large budget, because doing AI actually is expensive. Like AI actually is expensive. So you can't just see maybe a beginner just trying to like that's why if you check the AI field, the ML AI field is like an advanced field that beginners find it hard to catch up because there are a lot of limitations. You get, yeah, like maybe when you want to like work on some tools now are not open source, some open source, some are expensive to use. Like that's why what is making it accessible to everyone, actually AI, what is making AI accessible to everyone is open source. Exactly. In terms of open source, AI is accessible to everyone because even from the beginner to an expert, anyone can leverage AI. But in the end point, AI is also accessible to everyone. But in terms of enterprise tools now, AI is not accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. From a product standpoint, I believe AI is pretty much incorporated in most of the products that we use every day. But when it comes to actually going through the enterprise suites and the models that are being used, maybe it's not available. I guess that's the point you're trying to make here. But
Yeah.
you talked about how open source is very important when it comes to machine learning, right? And
Yeah.
my next question would be, what do you think is the significance of open source and machine learning exactly, and how do you think this is being impacted in the industry today?
Okay. Open source generally, as the name means, I think it comes from open source code. Yeah. So before now, there's when I made my research, there's what we call the free, they are free software, but there's a difference between free software and open source software. So before Linus Torvalds, he brought out like open source in the 1990s, I think. Yeah. So what open source is encouraging is flexibility and freedom of using tools. So in these types of machine learning now is flexibility to use, read, and modify source code without spending a fortune. That's what open source is encouraging. You get, so it's soft things like cost effectiveness. Like I mentioned, like some tools are very expensive. Let me give an instance now. You tend to use tools like I am a fan of I treat it a lot because I like their tools. They are a big part of the MLOps space. Yeah. So you tend to use tools like they have free tools like DVC, they have tools like CML, they have tools like MLEM, right? So you tend to use tools like DVC now for data version control. Now, DVC I think currently have I think we're up to like 10 pull requests now, as it creates a community around this. Like when you run into issues, there are things that you do with this tool that you feel there should be a better way of it being done. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So for example, now, maybe I'm working with maybe Python, for instance, now, a library in Python, maybe like Matplotlib. And I notice that I'm writing stuff over and over and over again. I can just decide to maybe like create it in function and stuff like that, contribute to maybe like Matplotlib, and that's now you've contributed to open source in this way. You get, so in this place, it's adding to your portfolio and it's also helping people. as a developer personally, you are helping people, you get. So that's something nice, you get. So it's from that way, it's creating a community. How do I mean? Community in the sense that you, like, if you notice a lot of, let me get a lot of ML tools these days, from DVC, CML, deep checks, a lot of them have Discord channel, a lot of them have Slack channels. Why? Because they know people are using these tools every day. They are people, they are experts in these tools, you get. So experts that have been using this, like working with related tools for long, that they have experience in this tool, but they are not working with the team directly. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So some of them see this tool and, okay, I think maybe DVC did something recently. Like I said, I'm a fan of iterative. They did something, they made VS Code, VS Code. They created DVC extension in VS Code. So that's something nice. You get, like, maybe someone, like, maybe from time to time, if, for example, because I know the same created that, if, for example, maybe someone thought about it that, oh, we've been working with DVC as a machine learning tool and stuff like that, that what if we created an extension that people use? You know, a lot of developers use VS Code a lot. So if we created an extension like in VS Code, since there is now Jupyter available in VS Code, that I think it will bring a lot of people, like, using DVC, like, increase the customers and stuff like that. You get, as in, someone might just throw up this idea in the Discord group, for instance, you get, like, then the developers will be like, wow, okay, I think this is a nice idea. Then they pick it up from there. This, like, open source is like leveraging and building up tools. That's why I see tools. That's why I see a lot of JavaScript. Let me go to JavaScript now. I'll come back. A lot of JavaScript framework keep popping out every day, because there are a lot of things open source there. Like, you see, today you can hear React.js, the next thing you hear Vue.js, the next thing you hear. So, and the more, like, the open source tools, the more people tend to work with it, you get. So it's allow cost effectiveness, like, it prevents cost effectiveness, it builds community around it, you get, and it creates ownership for the developers. Like, you feel like you are among the team, even when you are not with them directly. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the point about having a community around when it comes to open source really makes a lot of sense. And I think for developers in general, it's very helpful to get constant feedback from these open source communities, and, put in more features or put in bug fixes. But having said that, how do you think it is affecting the industry today? Like, for example, if in an industry we are using an open source model and it has constant changes, maybe some which are breaking in of next version release, do you think it is something that enterprise organizations should stay away from, or should they incorporate them into their systems as well?
Yeah. So can you recap that question? I didn't really get it.
So in terms of organizations, since these open source may or may not be very stable, do you think it would make a huge difference when they try to incorporate these ML models which are open source into their product?
Yeah, okay. From what you say, like, personally, I'll restructure this question. I'll see you're trying to say, like, the importance of open source generally to machine learning, like, to the machine learning, to open source machine learning tools. So, like I said, from the question you gave me now, is it will, like, if enterprise are making, I'm a fan of open source, yeah. So because I'm a fan of open source has changed a lot of life. I just feel if they make a lot of, there might be some portion, like a part where they make it not open source, because not all open source tools are fully open source. That's just the truth. Yeah, I don't know if you get that. There are tools that they are open source, but they are not fully open source. You might see a chunk or a part where you have to pay for it to get. So I feel if you are doing something like that too, it's something very nice, because it creates a community and encourage usage for your tools, you get. So, and it's leverage improvement on your products. Yeah, so that's something I feel is cool.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. So I think before we end off this interview, do you have any other sound bites that you'd like to share with our audience?
Okay, personally, I would say there are a lot of ML tools. Like, if you see, there are a lot of MLOps tools popping out these days. Like, yeah, like today you see, like, if you want to count them now, like, I think they are over 200 or 300, but they are not like specific way of doing MLOps, but the thing is, I can personally like vouch for some tools that I think I've been using, and I'm still learning them, and I feel it's something you can go with if you are coming into the ML or MLO space. Tools like, if you see tools like DVC, like I'll say, yeah. So DVC, ML Flow, yeah. So those two tools, like for data versioning, they are amazing tools. DVC, ML Flow. We have in the CI/CD part, like, yeah. So we have CML. We also have a new tool called MLEM, right? Yeah. So it's for model deployment, you get. So we have a new tool called MLEM. It's a nice tool also. Yeah, and deep checks, yeah, deep checks too. Like deep checks is a nice tool. And also DAGZOP, yeah. So personally, I don't work for DAGZOP, but I love what they are doing. DAGZOP is like the GitHub for machine learning engineers. You get. So, and yes, it's like the GitHub for machine learning engineers. Why DVC is like the Git for machine learning engineers. So I just feel these are the tools that, if you are trying to go into MLOps or ML, these are very nice tools that one should look into and always keeping an eye for. Yeah.
Well, I think these are really valuable insights, Gift, and thank you so much for having a conversation with us. I think we all learned something today. And for my audience, for more content, subscribe to Engati and tap on that bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders from around the globe. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you for the next expert soon. Thank you.
Thank you.